Hola a todos, this is Señor Quesada once again, and today we are going to learn about verbs followed by infinitives in Spanish and some common expressions that use the verb tener. Remember, these are your notes. So, on a piece of paper, you guys need to take notes on the topics I'm about to explain and present. You need to write down all my examples. You need to highlight and underline important questions and ideas. And finally, once you're all done, take pictures of all your notes and upload those pictures to Google Classroom so you can receive full credit for this activity. Let's begin. Let's start by reviewing. Remember that in Spanish, verbs have two forms. Number one is called the infinitive or infinitives, and those are the verbs before being conjugated. Now we have three endings. Those are AR, ER, and IR. Caminar, comer, and escribir are examples of that. And we also have something called a conjugation or conjugations. Those are the different forms verbs take based on who or when an event or action occurs. For example, Carlos camina a la escuela. Marta y Juan comen pizza. The verbs camina and comen are conjugated. And finally, nosotros escribimos apuntes en la clase de español. The verb escribimos is also a conjugation of escribir. Now, let's look about some verbs followed by infinitives, specifically tener. Now, there are two phrases with the verb tener that are usually followed by an infinitive in Spanish. The first phrase is tener que, and that means to have to. For example, yo tengo que hacer tarea. I have to do my homework. The second phrase is tener ganas de. And tener ganas de means to feel like doing something. For example, tú tienes ganas de ir al cine. You feel like going to the movies. Now, tener ganas de can also be followed by a noun in Spanish, not only an infinitive. Now, when followed by a noun, it's going to look like this. Tengo ganas de tacos. I feel like eating tacos. Or tengo ganas de helado. I feel like ice cream. Now, something that you guys need to remember with the verb tener is that tener is an irregular verb in the yo form as well as stem changing in all the other conjugation forms. For example, tengo, tienes, tiene, tenemos, and tienen. Here you can clearly see how tener changes in the yo form. We have to add that G. The stem doesn't change, but it changes in the tú, usted, él, ella, and the ustedes, ellos conjugation forms. Remember the nosotros conjugation form, the stem never changes. Now, let's move on. There are some other verbs that are going to be followed by infinitives as well. These are deber, poder, pensar, preferir, querer, and finally gustar, which you guys have seen before. Now, let's look at those verbs and how they're followed by infinitives. So I have a list of sentences here that where you can clearly see how the verb is conjugated and how the infinitive follows immediately that conjugation. And you can clearly see it in color red. For example, papá debe cortar el césped. Dad should mow the lawn. Mamá puede trabajar en casa. Mama is able to work at home, and in fact, she can work at home. Mamá y papá piensan salir esta noche. Mom and Dad are planning to go out tonight. ¿Prefieres comer tacos o pizzas? Would you rather eat tacos or pizzas? Yo no quiero arreglar la sala. I do not want to clean up the living room. A nosotros no nos gusta preparar la cena. We do not like to prepare dinner. Now, here are the conjugations of all those verbs that you guys saw. Please make sure you write all of this down on your notes so you can use it later when we do our activities during class time and homework. As you can see, the verb poder is a stem changing where the O changes to UE. You can clearly see those changes. Pensar, also stem changing from E to IE. Preferir, stem changing, E to IE. Querer, stem changing, E to IE. And gustar. Remember that gustar, we conjugate it differently. We have to use me gusta, te gusta, le gusta, nos gusta, and les gusta. Let's move on. Now, in Spanish, we have some common expressions that we use all the time with the verb tener. We use those expressions every day on a regular basis. And here are some of them. The first one, tener prisa, that means to be in a hurry. For example, tengo prisa, es muy tarde. Tener calor, that means to be hot. Mi hermana tiene calor. Tener frío means the opposite, to be cold. La abuela tiene frío. Tener sed means to be thirsty. Nosotros tenemos sed. Tener sueño, to be sleepy. Mis primos tienen sueño. Tener hambre means to be hungry. ¿Tú tienes hambre? Tener suerte means to be lucky. Tengo suerte de estar en la clase del señor Quesada. Él es muy buen maestro. And finally, tener años. That means to be X number of years old. For example, mi hermana tiene 8 años y mis padres tienen 35 años. Okay, so those are all the expressions. That's it for today. Now, remember, if you guys are done with your notes, make sure that you wrote down all my examples. Make sure that you highlighted or underlined any important questions or ideas presented in this video. And finally, if you're done, make sure you take a picture of all your notes and upload those pictures to Google Classroom so you can get full credit for this activity. Thank you. I will see you in class. Adios.